In the news that the stock markets have been waiting for, there is an effective coronavirus vaccine. It may well be that the end is in sight for this pandemic, and stock markets around the world have rallied today on the news. So in this video, I'm going to take a look at this new vaccine, what it is, how it might work, what it has already meant for stock markets and for investors, and what could come next. Hi everyone, I'm Martin Bamford, a chartered financial planner at Informed Choice, and we've got some really positive news out today with the release of data about a new vaccine which appears to be effective against coronavirus. This vaccine, which comes from the drug company Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech, appears to be 90% effective in its trials so far. The trials are by no means over, but this is one of about a dozen vaccines out there in the final stage of testing, or stage 3, and waiting for data before it seeks emergency regulatory approval, which Pfizer hopes to do for this particular vaccine before the end of this month. They're just waiting for a peer review of the data and a bit more data to come through before they can apply to US regulatory authorities to get this emergency permission. So the markets have responded incredibly positively to news of this vaccine, which could spell the end in sight for the lockdown ramifications of this global pandemic. It's only one part of the solution, of course. It's not the silver bullet, it's not the end to all of this, but a vaccine combined with more effective treatments, combined with growing immunity, herd immunity to the vaccine, and also continued social distancing measures could well be enough to unlock global economies, to unlock society and get back to some sort of new normal. So what we know so far is this vaccine has been tested on 43,500 people in 6 different countries. So far, there have been no safety concerns raised by this vaccine trial. It uses an experimental form of vaccine, messenger RNA, so it's genetic code, synthetic genetic code being injected to provoke an immune response and create what's called T-cell immunity. And it means that Pfizer and BioNTech can roll out this vaccine much faster than they would be able to mass produce a conventional vaccine. Once emergency approval's been granted, they're expecting to be able to produce 50 million doses by the end of this year, and then a further 1.3 billion doses next year. So a significant number of doses. However, every person receiving this vaccine will need 2 doses. So 50 million this year will only inoculate 25 million people. In the UK, we're expected to receive 10 million doses this year, so 5 million people can be vaccinated before the end of this year potentially, and the UK has ordered a total of 30 million further doses of the vaccine so far. Once the vaccine has been approved, prioritisation is likely to be for hospital and healthcare workers, as well as elderly residents in care homes, and then older and more vulnerable people. So people under the age of 50 who are in good health are going to be at the back of the queue for this particular vaccine. Now, one particular challenge that comes from this particular vaccine and this approach to vaccination is a logistical challenge, and that is the vaccine has to be stored in an ultra cold environment, so at least minus 80 degrees centigrade, and that could slow down the distribution of the vaccine because the logistical challenges coming from this ultra cold storage. Now, stock markets have absolutely rocketed on this vaccine news, not just because of the vaccine, but because of some other factors too, which I'll come on to in a second. But shares in the drug manufacturer Pfizer have gone up by 14%. The FTSE 100 index of leading UK company shares is up today by 4.67%, its best daily performance since March, but since before all of this kicked off. And we're seeing similar price rises on global equity markets around the world. It means that FTSE 100 companies have added £82 billion of market capitalisation today because of that one-day price rise. So a really positive day for the markets. And it's fair to say the markets have been waiting for this good news about the vaccine for quite some time. They've been holding back their growth, waiting for this positive news. It comes, of course, off the back of a couple of other major market moving factors as well. One is the Bank of England announcement last Thursday morning that it's going to buy a further £150 billion of bonds as part of its bond buying programme of quantitative easing. And the second factor, of course, over the weekend, President-elect Joe Biden confirmed as the winner of the US presidential election. So good news for markets. They had been holding back a little ahead of this vaccine news this afternoon, but they were already starting to rise this morning off the back of that US presidential announcement over the weekend. This is good news in particular for the travel, airline, hotels industry, with that particular sector up by more than 50% today. So they see a way out of this pandemic now. They see some return to normality. They see people again going away on holiday, booking international air travel, booking hotels, booking holidays. So good news for that sector. But of course, where there are winners, there are always losers too. So some of the companies which have really benefited from the lockdown, from the change in our behaviour, our consumer behaviour, are not doing so well today and seeing some share price falls. So for example, Zoom, the video communications company, has lost its share price today. Also Peloton, the indoor exercise company that produces a fantastic bike that I took delivery of just a couple of weeks ago, they've lost some value today. But also we've seen a fall in share price for Ocado, who do home shopping deliveries, and Just Eat, the takeaway service too. So an expectation from the markets that once the vaccine is widely available, once we're out of this lockdown scenario, that consumer behaviour will revert to the norm, that we'll all be going out again, going on holiday, going to restaurants, getting meals out, going to cinemas, etc., going back to the gym. We won't be working out in our living rooms anymore. And I think that's what's driving market behaviour right now. But this is still early days. The vaccine has not yet finished testing. They are still waiting for all of the data to come through before it can be peer reviewed, before regulatory approval can be given. There are signs and reasons to be cheerful. The fact there are about a dozen vaccines in this late stage of trials, I think, is a really positive reason to be cheerful about the future and about the outlook. I think the end of this horrible pandemic is in sight, and the scientific community really deserves to be congratulated on how quickly they have developed an effective vaccine. Pfizer in particular have just done wonderful work to bring this about, bring it to market so quickly. The normal vaccine development timeline is years and years. It's not a matter of months. So they really have pulled out all the stops. This was an important milestone in getting the world back to some form of normality. I don't expect it to go smoothly from here on out. I think there are likely to be bumps in the road over the next few months, and particularly around those logistical issues of actually delivering the vaccine to the people who need it. So the need to keep this vaccine in ultra cold storage at below -80 centigrade, I think in particular could cause some real logistical challenges, and it may be a slower rollout of the vaccine than would otherwise be the case. And of course, these companies have to mass manufacture the vaccine too. There's going to be skeptics out there, there's going to be people who are not willing to be vaccinated, and there are lots of different arguments about what level of herd immunity is required to effectively put COVID-19, put this novel coronavirus to bed. Time will tell just how long that takes, how effective this particular vaccine is, how many vaccines come up behind it, and also come onto market to really deliver and do their job and get us back to some sort of normality. The markets, the stock markets, they want us to go back to normal. They want consumer behaviour to revert. They want people who have been bottled up for months to go out there and start spending money, to start going on holiday, to start buying things in the shops. And this is why the markets are showing such positive performance today. But as I said, time will tell how effective this vaccine is, how quickly it can be delivered, and how sustainable that market growth is that we have seen today. Let me know what you think about this news about a vaccine, an effective vaccine from Pfizer. Is this the answer we've all been waiting for? Is this the end of the COVID-19 pandemic? Or will it not be plain sailing from here on in? Will there be some speed bumps to overcome? Let me know down in the comments below. Please do subscribe for more videos like this, where I look at economics, I look at the markets, I look at financial planning, I look at financial well-being and happiness. Please do press that subscribe button and press the bell as well to get notified when I publish videos in the future. Until next time, I'm Martin Bamford. Thank you so much for watching this video. And remember, when it comes to your money, the more you know, the faster it can grow.